Are you ready? Let's go. G'day guys, Mike Bury here. Thanks for joining me today. A very different YouTube episode for you. So, I recently asked you guys on Instagram to send me your swings if you would like a video analysis from me and to be featured on my YouTube channel here in this video. Well, you guys really delivered. You guys sent me hundreds of swings and I really appreciate that. So what I've decided to do, I picked a handful that I think will really help a lot of people, some very common faults, let's call it. And we're also going to go through a little bit of a Q&A. So let's jump into today's video. As I said, you guys really delivered so many swings. And again, thank you for doing that. Now, for those of you that replied to the story with the videos, unfortunately, when it comes to doing it that way, I can't save it and I can't replay it. So there are a lot of the videos that I couldn't use, and there were some good ones there. So maybe next time we do this, if you can directly DM those original videos to me, then you've got a much greater chance of me being able to use it and doing an analysis for you. Now, before we dive in, I've got a quick question for you guys. Do you want more of this? Should this be a regular theme here on my YouTube channel? Drop a comment down below and say yes if you want me to do more of these analysis for you guys. And the Q&As, if you don't, okay, no problem. Let me know down below. It's your channel. It's not my channel, it's my name, but it's your channel. I post this content for you guys and I want to make sure I'm posting the things you guys want to watch. Now, if it does become a recurring theme, we're going to need a name for this episode. So again, it's going to feature the video analysis for you guys, Q&A, that sort of thing. Let's come up with a cool name for it. Okay, so let's dive into video analysis number 1. We have Cole Barmel. Maybe that's right, or we'll just go with Cole. Cole is from Canada, and his miss, he plays a fade, but his miss, sometimes that turns into a big slice. So let's take a look at his setup here. Now, what you'll notice here, I see this quite often, is a little bit of a mismatch crisscross with where the feet are pointing and where the shoulders are pointing. So his feet are pointed to the right, the feet are closed, his shoulders are open, which is pointing to the left. And quite often on the downswing, I will see that the club, the path, more follows the shoulder alignment than where the feet are pointing. So let's play his swing here, and I'm going to take these lines out for a second. We'll just play the swing through. Nice takeaway. Good position up top. Now I can tell that Cole is a good player because he does a pretty good job on this one of getting it down and not coming over the top as much as some players would when they have this crisscross open shoulder deal going on. But as we said, he said that his miss is a fade and sometimes turns into a slice. So I would like to see you tidy up that address position a little bit. The shoulder alignment, to me, with those shoulders being open, is definitely a little bit of an issue. So the feet pointing to the right, I'm not entirely bothered by that. But let's square those shoulders up. Now, we don't have a face-on view of Cole's swing here. Sometimes when those shoulders get open, it's because the ball is too far forwards in the stance. Also, it can happen if we're tilting or leaning too much towards the target. So I would check those two things. Make sure your ball's in the right spot. Make sure you're tilted with your upper body. And I have a YouTube video that I will link below that goes through some of those setup deals. I call it the slice chain. And, you know, you're obviously a pretty good player like we said, but it's very easy for this to get out of control. So Cole, let's tidy up the setup. Anyone that has that over the top swing you might want to check out, and here's a swing of mine where I'm demonstrating this crisscross effect, and watch how the club swings outside in, cutting across the ball. Okay, swing analysis number 2 comes from Byron Justice. Thanks for sending in your swing. Let's take a look. We'll play this through here for a second. Nice swing, all in all right there, mate. So let's just go through a little slower here. We're going to talk a little bit about your takeaway here in a second, what your hands are doing, and we'll talk a little bit about the top of the backswing. And it looks like you might be a little bit of a fader. It's a little hard to tell here on camera, but all in all, a very good swing. So let's jump back to the setup here, and we're going to talk about Byron's takeaway. This is something that I see for a lot of players, and if you're a slicer, definitely pay attention. If you have high hands at the top of the backswing, again, you might want to pay attention to this as well. Okay, so just zipping back to the start here. What I'm going to do is put a little line right on the outside of your hands here, and ideally what I'm looking for when you make your takeaway, I don't want to see the hands bursting through that line. You can see here they burst through quite a bit. Now when I see that, I see two different things when the club gets parallel to the ground. Byron, you get the club inside of your hands. I also see a lot of players where the club goes out, and typically when we see this, we're going to see high hands, steep arm at the top of the backswing. So you do a pretty good job. You're not super steep, but might be a little bit steep, and that potentially can cause sort of the over the top or the outside in swing path. And again, if you're a slicer, that might be something that needs to be addressed. So let's jump back to the start of your swing here again. And ideally when you're making that takeaway, I'm looking for, like I said, those hands. Oh, hold on one second. Your recording was interrupted. We're unable to restore it. Do you want to continue recording? Yes. Okay, sorry about that little technical error here. Now we're good to go. So again, like I said, I want to see those hands going straight back. They'll start to swing around your body, but again, we don't want them bursting away. Now, a way that you might practice this is just going back and setting that club in that halfway position, feeling like you don't increase any room away in between your hands and your pant legs here. So you can see that the amount of space that we have right now versus sort of where we started, quite a bit of difference there. So something to work on there. Set the club, let's call that position 1. That's where the club is parallel to the ground. Then take it up and swing through from there. But just practice setting that club in that halfway back position without the hands going away from the body. Now this is something that you could work on at home. If it's winter for you guys right now and snowing or whatever the case may be, a little bit of at-home practice here is definitely very beneficial. Okay, we'll come back to the swing analysis in a minute. Let's dive over to some of the Instagram questions that you guys had for a quick Q&A. Okay, the first question comes from bwit13. The question is, how do you play golf? Well, first of all, Brian, thank you for asking the question. Brian is an assistant professional at Las Colinas Country Club where I work. How do I play golf? Very well. Thanks for asking. Jethro869. Toilet paper, over or under? Is that even a question? Over all day long. Dzumo13. How can I fix my steep attack angle? Well, I'm going to flash up a quick video here from Instagram on attack angle, and I will link it down below. It's the one with the driver head cover, but I've got several videos on Instagram that will all help you with attack angle. Now, if you are struggling with hitting down on it too much with your driver, a couple of things you need to check. Number 1, check your ball position. Number 2, check your spine angle. Make sure you're tilted behind the golf ball at address. Number 3, with the driver, make sure you stay behind the ball at impact. So through that transition, you're staying back with that upper body. That's going to move the bottom of the swing back and allow you to sweep up on it. But check out the little video down below for some attack angle feedback. David Rios asks, will your outside lane go inside lane drill work for driver 2? So I'll flash that up here real quick. This is from Instagram and I'll link it down below. This drill is for fixing a shank or heel contact, and I've demonstrated here using, I believe, a 7 iron, might have been a 5 iron, but it will work for driver. The only issue is that the driver length being so long, it can be a little tricky to do this drill. One of the keys to doing this drill is make sure that you have enough room at address so that by the time you come into the inside lane, you have enough room and you're not jammed up. And that's particularly important if you were to do this with driver. But in all honesty, I would work on it with your irons, then try and get that feel to translate and transfer to the other clubs. Nick Ritter asks, what motivates you to play golf? Very good question. I got addicted to golf very early on. Well, actually not that early on compared to golfers sort of these days. I started playing when I was about 12 and got the golf bug almost right away. And what's kept me in the game is really just that pursuit, that ongoing pursuit of improvement. It's not always the easiest game, and sometimes it's a little demotivating. But the process of improvement for me was really one of the things that sort of kept me going, kept me motivated. Dexter Conrad asks, when was the last time you shanked it? Well, okay, I'm not a shanker. My miss is in the toe, so I think in my entire lifetime I've shanked 2 balls, and one of them was actually very recently when I was down at the PGA show in Orlando. I played a little bit of night golf with Zach Radford, GM Golf, Garrett Clark, Brody Smith, and a few others, and it was nighttime, slippery shoes, all that kind of thing, using someone else's clubs. I don't want to make excuses. On the second hole, I hit the most pure, crazy shank that has probably ever been hit in the entire universe. And it was scary, I'm not going to lie. But typically, I don't hit it in the heel at all, really. I'm more of a toe hitter. Okay, video analysis number 3 comes from Tom Felino. Looks like you flipped around the T and the F in your username. I see what you did there. Let's take a look at your swing again. This is another thing that I see quite often on the lesson tee. Let's play your swing through, and this is sent through in slow-mo, which definitely makes for a better swing analysis. And Tom, you look like you're a pretty good player as well. So let's take a little look at what we're going to focus on your swing. We're going to look at your position at the top of the backswing. And this is where the lead arm, in your case, gets a little low, gets a little flat. And again, I see this quite often. So we see a lot of the shoulder exposed here above that lead arm. Now, quite often what happens in this case, we start to see players' hands work more over the top on the downswing because the hands are too deep in the backswing. Now, we have to get that club all the way back to the golf ball. And Tom here struggles sometimes with a little bit of heel contact. Now, you do quite a nice job of bringing the club down and not coming too much over, but you'll start to see that it's very easy for those hands to get too far out and perhaps strike it a little bit in the heel. Now, there's perhaps a little bit of early extension, which we're not even going to touch right now, early extension being when those hips are working inwards towards the golf ball, down through that impact area. But like I said, I would first address perhaps the position at the top of the backswing and work on getting the hands a little higher up. Now, this can be a little challenging at first, in particular if you have a big over-the-top move, because if you move those hands a little higher, it's more than likely that the downswing is going to come even more over the top. So we're going to have to relearn a little bit of the downswing pattern. Instead of coming in and over, we're going to have to learn to take it up a little more and then perhaps have the feeling of looping it under, shallowing it under, and getting a little more from the inside. This is something that I'm going to shoot a dedicated video on because it's a little more complex than just throwing up a few lines on the screen here right now. But it is very, very common to see that lead arm get too low at the top of the backswing and then potentially create some issues for us coming down. Okay, the next video analysis comes from Darshan. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. Darshan, he is in Houston, Texas, not too far from me, a few hours south. Let's take a look at your swing. So this is with a gap wedge. We'll play it through here. Now, Darshan says that his miss is short and to the left. I would have to guess that looking at this, that your ball flight is also pretty high as well. So let's dive in. Let me tell you what I'm seeing here. Setup wise, it looks pretty good. You might want to check the width of stance here. Could be just a whisker too wide for a gap wedge, but I'm okay with it for right now. Let's go back to that lead arm level to the ground position here. You can call this 3/4 of the way back if you like. Now right here, you have a reasonable angle between the shaft and your lead arm, which looks good. You could maybe have a little bit more of a 90 degree, but it doesn't have to be perfectly 90 degrees there. Let's go on from here, and what we're going to see is a little bit of an unhinging of those wrists as we get to the top. Now, the film quality is not super. It's a little grainy and blurry, so I can't punch in much more. But you can kind of see on that lead hand there that it kind of has a little bit of like this sort of look at the top. Instead of if it were hinged, it would look a little more this way. So from that 3/4 back position to the top, you have lost some of your hinge. So let's take a little look again here. 3/4 of the way, you have a reasonable angle there between your left arm and shaft, as we said, and the wrist does appear to be hinged, but it certainly appears to be unhinged here. Now the challenge when you come down is that you're already unhinged, so we're going to be releasing that club early. See how wide that club head is? And this is a similar position to where we were going back, and now we've lost that angle. You see here the shaft that we had almost a 90 degree angle on before is certainly not there anymore. So that means by the time we get down into impact, the club has released. The club head is going to pass the handle. That's going to provide too much loft to that golf ball. It's going to be going up in the air too much. You're going to lose distance from that. Also, when that club is early releasing, that club face is also closing. So unless you subconsciously do something to alter that, there's the potential to hit your short left shot. The ball's going high, the ball's going left, falling short. This also brings in some contact issues because the club is potentially going to want to bottom out before you get to the golf ball. So the drill that I like to do here, one, I want you to set the club nicely at that lead arm level to the ground position. Let's call that, that sort of 3/4 back position. You'll see here when I demonstrate this drill, I'm going to slide my slide my right hand up the club, and I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure from that right hand, just making sure that that hinge does not change. If anything, it might be increasing just slightly. And then I'm going to hold that as I come down, and that right hand is going to act as a little bit of support, just to make sure that that left hand doesn't unhinge the club at all. Now, another drill that I would love for you to do is the T-line strike station. So here, I've got some balls set up just in front of this alignment stick. It's about 1 shoe width in front. And your goal, set that wrist hinge, keep that wrist hinge. You need to be able to strike the ground, but not strike that alignment stick. If you early release, you're going to strike that alignment stick, balls are going to go everywhere. Now, as you start to improve this, you should start to see the ball flight on those wedges come down. That'll improve your distance control. When that ball is going way up in the air, we're going to lose all distance control. And if we have any kind of wind, which you're down in Houston, you're going to get wind for sure, that's going to make it very difficult to control those wedges. Okay, let's dive back in. A couple more Q&As because there's some really helpful stuff here, and we'll jump into one more swing analysis. At the end of the video, I'm going to showcase and highlight a lot of those really good swings that you guys sent to me. So let's jump back in here. So the question that I have is from Eric Wayne 87. I can hit the ball clean off the driving range mat, but can't hit the ball on the fairway. Help, LOL. Well, this is a common issue for many players. The issue with hitting off of mats, sometimes it can disguise the contact, so it can disguise the fat shots. So you might be thinking that you're striking well off the mat, but obviously the club can't go through the mat, so it's going to bounce into the ball, and the ball flight will end up looking pretty good. So you're not getting great feedback all of the time hitting off mats, and I'm certainly not saying don't practice off mats. I actually really like hitting off mats, but what this tells us is that there's a low point control issue, and you need to figure out what that is. Is it a ball position issue? Is it a weight shift issue? It could be any of those, but Don't think that because every ball comes off great off of a mat that there's not another underlying issue there. So a combination of hitting off grass, hitting off mats is great. Figure out what you need to improve to kind of sharpen up that contact, and then you'll be happy days. Okay, Jason 3 Marks asks, what is the best action for a 100-stroke golfer? More games, lessons, club choice, swing reviews? I would start with a couple of things. I would definitely be getting some lessons so that you know what you need to work on and how you need to improve. But I would also be trying to get out to the course and play as much as you can. You don't have to go out and play 18 holes. You might just go out and play 9 holes. There's a lot of learning to be done. So a combination of lessons, hit the range, hit the short game area, take it to the course, see where you're starting to improve, see where the big weaknesses are, and then go ahead and take a lesson on that and improve it. But, you know, I wouldn't stick to one or the other. I think that just limiting yourself to, say, hitting balls in the range, there are other parts of the game that you're not going to develop as quickly. So lessons to get help, hit the range, hit the short game area, get out on the course where you can. Let's see here. Question from Andrew's Disney Adventures. That sounds pretty interesting. Do you do private lessons? Yes, I absolutely do. I'm going to drop a link down below. You can take private lessons with me. You can take golf schools with me. I would love to visit with you in person. Obviously, if we're not able to do that, then, you know, enjoy as much of the free content as I keep putting out. It's on YouTube, it's on Instagram. But if you do want to come in and see me, just hit that link down below. Check out my programs, touch base with me, and I would love to get together with you. Okay, the next swing analysis comes from Abel. Let's dive in and take a look at your swing here. We'll play it through. I love night golf. You can see that ball flight so well. We see it curving out to the right a little bit here, so let's take a look here. Now, your feet are a little bit cropped out of frame here, but they are definitely aiming to the left. And so feet are pointing out this way. The ball travels out to the right. So we could say that potentially the camera might not be in the right spot, but I don't believe that necessarily to be the case given where this golf ball goes. It doesn't go in the same direction that you're aiming, and we can see it curving away to the right. So now you're out there practicing, you're working on your game. The problem is we're set up, we're challenged right from the get-go here because your aim is off, and when that aim's off, then that's going to create a swing issue. Typically the swing path and the face will both be affected. Let's take a look here. So we see our aim is to the left. That's creating an outside-in appearing swing, and as far as the golf ball knows, that swing path is cutting across it with the face open, and that is causing the ball to curve to the right. Now, I love the fact that you're out there working on your game, but you're not necessarily helping yourself. And lots of players go to the range, obviously with the intention of getting better, but if we don't have the right steps or process in place, it's possible to get worse from practicing. And I'm sure that's probably happened to you guys at home. You've gone to the range, you've put a full session in, you walk off the range, you felt like you got worse. So alignment is an issue for almost everybody. And typically we see something drop off in the setup that affects the swing. Now in your case here, if you can work on aiming a little better, you might be able to start to get that club to travel a little more from the inside. You might need to square that club face up, or you will need to square that club face up at impact so that the ball doesn't curve further to the right. But it all comes back down to that root cause, the initial issue of that alignment being off. I'm going to link down below to one of my YouTube videos where we talk about alignment and how to create an alignment station, which is something you should use when you're out there practicing, working on your full swing. Well guys, like I said, I really enjoyed doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it and hope that you got something out of it. Even if your swing wasn't featured in this video, there are things to learn from these other swings that we looked at today. I'm going to highlight a bunch of really good swings at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned because your video might appear there. Also guys, give me some feedback. Let me know. Did you like it? Hit the like button obviously if you did, but down below in the comments, let me know, should we do more of this? And also, do you guys have a name for this episode, this series? I hope for it to be an ongoing series if you guys want it to be. Guys, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell. I look forward to doing this one. And guys, until next time, good golfing.